We have what we call as realized demand and potential demand. Potential demand is the prospective client of passenger. The realized demand is the one that already there. Okay, and in terms of transport supply, we talk about the modal supply. Modal supply is the mode itself. Okay, the infrastructure. And another one is intermodal. When we talk about rail, it's involved intermodal. Intermodal supply is the infrastructure that allow the change of from train to road transport to truck or from train to maritime. Okay. All right. Okay. What is transport supply? Transport supply is actually the infrastructure, the capacity of the transport infrastructure and the modes. Okay, and this one expressed in the terms of infrastructure, the capacity of it. How many container the container yard can handle? How many container the inland port can handle per day? Right? And then the service provided, the frequency of that particular service, and the network coverage, the line, the rail track, okay, and how it's linked to the road transport, okay. And this one, throughout the years nowadays, the demand and supply is quite dynamic, and it's uh, can be improved and to get better increase in terms of supply. We need to use the technology to manage things. Okay. And that is for transport supply. For transport demand, is the transport need, the needs that need to be satisfied fully, partially, or not at all. And this transport demand is expressed in terms of the number of people, the volume. We talk about tons, cargo per unit, or time and distance. And not all, tons per unit of time and distance. Right. Okay. That is transport demand. This one is actually uh, the, what we call that? The example. I give you the example. What is the direct and indirect demand of the, because the next slide is the definition of it. The, not definition, the explanation of it. And you can read that. Basically, the direct demand is the demand that is directly involve transport. For example, you need to commute to work. All the activities such as working, vacation, shopping, manufacturing, you have a industrial area, but you do not have transport to move the cargo from uh, the factory. So what happened? The cargo is there for 1 year. Is there? They didn't get trading, so they just keep producing things without making it out of the factory and sell it. So no point, right? So direct demand is the activities that relate to us. Okay, for example, like commuting, we need to commute, we need to use all the transport to go to work, okay, to go to school, to come back from school. Okay. And we also sometimes do travel for vacation around the world. You can go to what, Europe, before the COVID. Now you have all the SOP, so yeah, limited, but still you can travel in Malaysia, right? You need transport to travel. That is driver demand. You also travel to shop, and for shopping sometimes we do what we call as there is come the food panda, the grab food. They do the delivery. You just order online. Click click. Then the your food at your door, but make sure that you pay for it. Okay. So that is the thing about direct demand. For manufacturing, they need this transport to actually things, distribute their cargo, their product to the seller, to the distributor, to export it, to import it. So we have that direct demand. Okay, because of this, either you notice it or not, this actually is economic activity. When you go to work, when you come back from work, when you go to work, you actually generate income, right? And then because of that income, you go for shopping. Same goes to here. When you travel, you go vacation. Yes, travel to Legoland. In Johor, we have Legoland, something like that. Uh, if it's still what we call that operating, or I do not know if it's closed already. And when you go there, you need to travel by transport. You need to eat. You need to buy things. Of course, you want to buy souvenir. So all that actually generate uh, what we call it, generate the economics in that particular area. So all this is direct demand to transport. You can see clearly. That's why it calls derived demand. Another derived demand is indirectly. Indirectly, we talk about the services that coming together when you go for vacation, for example. When you go for vacation, you travel. You need a service transport. Yes. Another service you need, maybe you want the hotel. You want to have food. You want to, what else? You want to actually have a tourist guide to guide you pusing-pusing. Same goes to here. Why indirect demand is warehousing? Because when you talk about manufacturing, distribution, some manufacturing do not have, they only have small warehouse. Okay, they did not have big warehouse. So every time they manufacture product, they want the product to actually send by the freight forwarding, logistic service provider, LSP, to their seller. So their seller, sometimes they have warehouse, sometimes they do not have warehouse. So if they do not have warehouse, they need to rent warehouse. So that is come indirectly the warehouse service. Indirectly also is the energy. We talk about the fuel, diesel. We talk about electric. We talk about what else? If we talk about fuel, diesel, fuel, petrol. If it's combination of intermodal, we still need the energy to move the things, the product, the cargo, the passenger. We talk about all of this is we call it derived demand, and under it is direct and indirect demand. Okay. So you can read this one. Okay, for rail transport supply, its capacity of the route and the vehicle. We talk about the model supply. We talk about the container. We talk about the route. For rail is the track. Yes, they can carry a lot of weight, but there is always a but. But it depends on how they build the track. That's why in planning of rail transport system, the first thing they need to know is that whether it's for freight or is it for passenger. Whether it's carry how many passenger per car they want to carry. How so that they know how many what we call that the macam mana nak cakap atas jalan on the road. For example, I give you a simple on the road. If you see the right side and the left side is for heavy vehicle. Okay, usually the heavy vehicle you use the left one, and we as a passenger vehicle will use the lane laju lah, we call it the fast lane. And this fast lane and this, although they make it similar, there are 7 layers for the road transport, road for road construction. There are 7 layers, and based on that layer, okay, you will see that there is a lot of cracking on the left side compared with right side. Not because of the left or the right have a different level of layer, but because of the left carry heavy weight. Always lorry, always bus, always all the heavy vehicle that using that, including the right backhoe and whatnot, the all the machine. So that's why on the left road it's cracking. Although both sides are in terms of the layer, 7 layer of that. When they construct the road, they have a 7 layer of different kind of soil and whatnot. Material, sorry, not soil, material. The right one really cracking. The left one is always cracking. Okay. For same goes the concepts goes similar with the rail. So when they want to build a rail for to use for cargo, the bed of that particular rail allow it to what we call that, to absorb the weight of that particular cargo. If it says 100 container with weight, let's say one container is 10 ton. Okay, 10 ton. So they need to calculate it and make sure that the bed of that particular track allow it to use the particular weight. If not, then the track will be buckle. Okay, dia akan jadi lompat-lompat macam tu. And that one is no lah for the railway. Okay. That is if you look into your project, that is why if you start early, you need to actually read the transport planning book if you have any. If you already take transport planning, there is a lot of what we call that information about it, what to do and what not. All right. Okay. Yeah, the notes is not there, but you can get the notes from your senior. Unfortunately, the the one that I want to give you is the latest one, not the old one. But the concept is same. All right. Okay. For the air transport and maritime, it's more on capacity of the terminal. But for road and rail, it's more on the capacity of the route. For rail is the rail track and the modes, the wagon, the coach of that rail system. And how they measure transport demand and supply with passenger kilometer and ton kilometer. All right. For model supply, usually what happens is that one must influence the supply of others. But this one for rail is not really what we call that. It depends on the planning at the early stage. Okay. Why I said that? Because it's not only rail track, but about the intermodal terminal, where at the intermodal terminal, for example, like if it's linked with the maritime segment, so that if it's linked with the maritime segment, so the port should have the line for rail track. Okay, and how much the capacity to for the rail to actually receive the cargo, how many of it, and at near the port, not far from it, they need to have a place where the for rail transport they can actually combine, reassemble all the train, all the cargo, and then put the locomotive and then shoot out. Okay. So it's all linked back to the terminal. For road transport, it's different. Okay. This is what I said just now, the intermodal supply. It depends on the transshipment capacity. Actually, it depends on that particular terminal and the terminal in what we call that intermodal infrastructure. In Malaysia, um, we have we have the train to Port Klang. We have a train to Batuas here for freight, and the yard is not so far from the port, but it's I think the Port Klang is much more better in terms of that. I haven't gone to I haven't been to Port Klang, just once I think, but it's before the West Port has been it's still under construction during this time, so it's quite old. If you have any information about it, so just share with me. No worries. Okay, this is the growth factors in transport demand. Um, the longer the kilometer, the quantity of passenger and freight will be increased, and even the passenger and ton kilometer will be increased. It will actually have a growth in the production and consumption, and income growth will actually allow people to travel far. And another one is when we talk about the distance, we talk about the outsourcing and offshoring, shoring, and the economic specialization. We talk about the industrialization. Some usually is outside the city center, and suburbanization. We have a lot of suburban. If you look into the KTMB commuter, you will see there is a lot of suburban outside Kuala Lumpur, which is actually, if you see the map, there is no, you cannot see the boundary between Kuala Lumpur and the, what we call that, Selangor. Okay. This is the factors behind freight transport demand. One is the industrial location, the economic activities, because it's linked to the GDP of the country or of the state. Special structure, this one is network. Okay, it's it's a network. In other words, lah, because in books there are a lot of terms. And then we talk about international agreement, both concerning the trade and transportation. This is to increase the trans-border traffic, especially, and to simplify custom procedure. But although it simplifies the custom procedure, but it do not compromise the security and safety of that particular, not only product, not only the cargo, but also the community. We talk about the GIT practice and warehousing, where it will decrease the inventories. If you do not know what the GIT, then you need to click in the internet and see what is GIT. And then we have the strategic alliance. This one is between carrier, shipper, and include sometimes producer and retailer. This will to reduce the distribution cost overall. And strategic alliance ni sometimes with the agreement we win situation. And then packaging and recycling, it's to increase the transportability of the product, lower the freight density, and to ensure that reverse distribution can be happen easily and smoothly. And then we talk about the factors. Another factors is the regulation and deregulation, which will increase the competition, level of service, and lower the cost overall. Okay, and in most countries, the growth of intermodal transportation allow trading and uh, distribution of goods go smoothly. Fuel costs and tax and also subsidies. There are a lot of large and volatile cost component, especially energy. So in terms of rail, um, in overseas actually, even the freight rail, they already changed to electric. Okay, and they also have what we call as diesel electric, where in some area where they cannot, awat lah suara, where they do not have the electric, they will use the battery, and the diesel will convert it to electric to make sure that the train can still move. Infrastructure and congestion, which is for rail, is much more efficient, operating cost and reliable, so there is no congestion unless it in the terminal. And it's safe environmental policy in terms of operating speed, condition, and cost. It also have capacity and weight limit, although in previous, what we call that, previous lecture, it said that for rail transport, there is no weight limit. Yeah, you can carry anything. but, but, whatever it is, but if the track cannot allow to carry 100 container with more than 100 tons, then need to actually what we call that, need to comply with that. Otherwise, the track will be broken easily. And the last one is technology. Technology is a lot. Not only we talk about automation and robotic, we also have containerization nowadays and double stacking. We also have RFID to detect the container, to detect the cargo, to make it everything smooth in terms of custom procedure and whatnot, the handling and interchange system, and automated terminal. Okay. That is the factors behind freight transport demand. So what about factors behind the, what we call that, passenger demand? I think you can think about it. Allah swallow hilang. I think you can think about it because demand for passenger is what you need. For me, I want a fast train. I want to use internet in the train. So there is a demand for 5G. There is a demand for speed, ETS service lah. Alright, high speed train. Lower cost. There is a demand for lower cost. Comfort. There is a demand for comfort. There is a demand for the best experience. So passenger have a lot of what we call that, demand actually. But what is the most important things when we talk about the parasuraman quality is the satisfaction demand, and when it talks about satisfaction demand, there is a lot of things, tangible, intangible, and then the accessibility. That is another factors for rail transport. If you are live far away from rail transport but you want to use it, it's you need to have the feeder bus, or you need to take a e-hailing service, or you need to take a kereta sewa, whatever it is, to go to the terminal. And if it's feel not available, or is feel hard to you, then you won't take the rail transport. So there is a lot of things actually for passenger in terms of factors behind the passenger transport demand, and all this has been documented in the journal, right? Okay, this is the major supply variable for each different modes lah. Okay, just look at the rail transport. What they can give is track and grade without gradient. So just now I already said about the track and the gradient. If it's a bit steep, and then the train cannot go fast. Okay, the yard, the transshipment, this is involve all the terminal and the speed and the capacity they can carry. Right. The last one for transport demand and supply, rail transport demand and supply, is transport yield management. Transport yield management is the process of managing the usage price of transport asset, such as a fare paid by users in view of continuous change in demand. The goal of such approach is to maximize profit in the context where transport supply is fixed. Okay, transport supply fixed, but transport demand is fluctuate. So what they did is that they put the high price for certain peak and put the lower price for certain time. Okay. So the aim is to increase profit. Who use this transport yield management? There is how they want to do that. How they put they use it. Okay, this one is where your friends in the SQS need to learn. They I do not know whether the SQF student. I know you learn statistics, you learn mathematics, but I do not know whether how they want to do this. Is if I'm not mistaken, it's need algorithm. It's need all the modeling to do this, and it's been applied in air transport. If you see the Air Asia, even the Firefly or some of low cost company, they use this transport yield management to. That's why the price is quite. Today is different. Tomorrow is different. If you want to buy ticket for tomorrow, if you want today you want to buy ticket for tomorrow, then the price will be actually high and at the same rate as a mass airline full services. Okay, but for rail, they will use only two, which is morning peak, afternoon peak, peak hour, and non-peak hour. Easy as that, right? Peak hour, the fares will be a bit up. The ceiling one, the ceiling price, because the fares in rail transport have been governed by the government. But for during non-peak hour, the price is a bit lower, not really low, but a bit lower. So if you are not going to work, or if you have a flexible hours in your company offer a flexible hours, and you take a train, okay, go for non-peak hour, so that you can get lower in terms of the fares, not the high one, the shilling price one, a bit lower. Okay, that's one. Another thing is that for rail transport, they also use peak season and non-peak season, peak weekend, peak season and non-peak season. Weekend also different because weekend usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They are full swing. The coach, especially the ETS from Kuala Lumpur to Ipoh, will be full capacity. Okay, people will queue either on uh, at counter, or they already buy ticket online. There will be full capacity usually. Okay, so if you want to travel non-peak day, which is in middle of the week, not weekend. But of course, you cannot do that. Why? Because you are studying. That is one. Peak season during the in Malaysia is during the festive season. We talk about Raya. Raya is already the KTMB already promote the Raya. What we call that? Uh, Raya ticket. Same goes to bus service. Same goes to airline service. Actually, they already before Raya they promote it, but yeah, it's all there for you to choose lah. Okay, and then what else? That is transport yield management. Because why they do this? Any what we call that unused capacity is a loss for the potential revenue. Okay, let's see, we have 40 seat in the train. 40 seat in the train, but only 20 is full. Another 20 is lost. So, loss it's very perishable. Transport is very perishable services. And yeah, it's quite hard actually to, if they do not get the subsidy from the government, to actually maintain the cost of operation. Okay, so that is transport yield management. All right. Okay, another 50 minutes. I just continue. Just I think 3 or 4 slides about the TOD, transport. Sorry, no break, no Mentimeters for today. So okay, transit oriented development. Okay, this transit oriented development is actually a place or a town or a development area where it's a very compact and walkable and pedestrian oriented with mixed use of community center around the high quality train system. Okay, train in the mid, for example, easy. Train in the middle, and then it's surrounded by all the housing area and whatnot. Of course, this is a rail track. And then people just walk to the train station. Okay, and then they have a feeder bus. They have everything is easy access, very easy accessible. Okay, and then where is the shop? Oh, you can have shop here, can have shop here, and accessible. Right. This is for major solution with the climate change and global energy problem. When they develop this area, walkable community, it will reduce the needs of driving and energy consumption. So it will reduce actually theoretically, okay, when they do research to build this type of transit oriented development, it will reduce driving up to 85%. Is there any transit oriented development town in any part in the world? Yes, they are. Otherwise, they don't do. We cannot see the research. Okay, we cannot get the what we call that, the journal article lah. Right? Why TOD? Because of traffic congestion. Do you want to live in city center? You want to bring the car inside, and then you need to wait for. You need to queue up 1 hour, 2 hours just to actually enter the city and go to your workplace, which is if in Kuala Lumpur, if you need to, if you start work at 9 o'clock, you need to come out like what 7, 6:30 after subuh, and then at the end of the day you get stressed. Why? You come out uh, dark and you come back to your home dark, gelap dan gelap. Maksudnya pergi masa matahari belum naik, balik matahari dah tenggelam. And 4 hours or 2 hours is on the road. So you just imagine your life if like that. And then there is a desire for a quality urban lifestyle. You want the clean environment, no dust, no jerebu-jerebu apa semua, right? Jerebu is what? Haze. And walkable lifestyle. We talk about exercise, change in family structure, more singles and empty nester. And of course, there is a national support in the government support for smart schools and smart cities. And in fact, yeah, we changed to that new focus for federal. In some countries, they actually implemented it, and in some countries, they already have the rail transport in the city center. They just what we call that improve it to make it more easy access for the commuter. Okay. What are in the TOD? TOD is transit-oriented development. One is walkable design, where the pedestrian is highest priority. It's including safety, meaning that the pedestrian safe to walk. Less car in that area. Train station is a prominent feature. There is a public square in front of the train station. And we talk about node. Node is the point from one station to another. So this node is actually close to office, residential area, retail, and others. Okay, high density. They have a streetcar or buses to actually feeder all to become a feeder bus to become a feeder from the residential area to the um, transit system, and easy to use the bicycle. Scooter is not the scooter motorcycle. The scooter is the small uh, bicycle, right? In this case, okay, bike share rental system, and then if you need to make a park, you just park, and you can walk 10 minutes to the train station, and they have a retail, cafe, grocery, but just a small one, not the big one. And the benefit is higher quality of life, healthier lifestyle, greater mobility and accessibility, stable property value. In that area, of course, the value of the property will goes up, and it's stable. Not it's in the theory, okay? It's in theory, it's stable. Supposed to be stable. Reduce incentive to sprawl means that the to go the compact development is there, but the network will be goes out. Reduce congestion, car accident and injuries, foot traffic and business area, less expensive than building road and all the network, reduce household spending on transport because why? Because they use public transport. So household spending, we talk about fuel car, greatly reduce the dependence on foreign oil. Do we have foreign oil? We use Petronas. We have Shell. We have Patron, reduce pollution and environmental damage. It will reduce pollution greatly if we implement it. But it's not one town. We need to do it for each town. Then the overall impact will be seen much more. Right. Okay. That's all for today. Any question? So far, okay. Alright. Sekejap ya. Saya bagi QR code. Alright. Share content mana? Okay, you can scan QR code. Oops, termasuk. Okay, if there is no other question, we end our class with Surah Al-As and Tasbih Kifar. Okay, bye-bye. See you next class.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Dokter.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Doctor.
Yes.
Saya nak tanya tentang assignment, individual assignment.
Okay. Siapakah
Ah.
ini? Nawak nama tak keluar.
Farisha.
Tau. Ada apa tu?
Untuk individual assignment, Doktor tak ada state kita kena cari based on journal ke, artikel ke, tak ada kan, Doktor?
Tak ada.
Tapi in case if kita ada letak citation or reference boleh ke?
Kalau ada citation, kena letak reference lah. Tapi untuk itu individual assignment, tak, saya tak ada mention apa-apa. You nak kena baca journal ke apa ke, tak ada.
Last question. Boleh tak kalau macam saya nak buat dalam table and then nak buat landscape layout.
Landscape layout?
Dia,
Buat dalam table tapi nak buat landscape layout. Apa maksud tu, tak faham lah yang. Buat dalam table tapi dalam words tu landscape ke? Ke landscape yang duk tanam pokok apa semua tu?
bukan yang landscape yang biasanya kita buat yang size A4 portrait tu kan.
Selalu menegak portrait. Lepas tu awak nak buat landscape.
Boleh ke?
Bukan dalam table tu letak point je. Lepas tu awak explain lah.
Oh, letak point je.
Dalam table tu letak point je. Lepas tu nanti bawah tu awak explain point 1 apa benda. Point 2 apa benda.
Okay. Faham.
Ada lagi?
Ada. Thank you, Doktor.
You're welcome.